promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Porto Novo. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. First, our top stories. Benin Republic and Senegal agreed to deepen cooperation in trade and security sectors.
We have obviously mentioned the friendly and cooperative relations between the Benin people, even though we have both noted that today, due to the quality of the friendship, we can do much more and much better in terms of trade.
The Nigerian Transitional Authority revises the country's 2025 budget downwards. Togo readies for July 17 municipal election as opposition groups, social influencers mobilize another fresh protest. In Nigeria, citizens denounce trend of medical tourism, caution against impact on the health system.
The same medical treatment that will cost you about 30,000 euros will cost you just 1,000 euros if you were to seek the same services in Nigeria.
I look forward to see when ordinary councillor will have a headache and he will run down to maybe my primary health care in my community.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is a more edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us in this second edition of the news. Beninese President Patrice Talon on Tuesday welcomed his Senegalese counterpart Bashir Diomaye Faye on a friendly and working visit. Upon arriving at the State House, Talon and Diomaye Faye held talks on strengthening cooperation between Benin and Senegal in the areas of trade and security. The Senegalese leader has toured West Africa just a little over a year since assuming office, but this marks his first visit to Cotonou. Sankli Janko tells us more in this report.
Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye held a one-on-one meeting with his Beninese counterpart Patrice Talon at the State House. The discussion was then extended to include delegations from both countries. During the press briefing at the end of the meeting, the two presidents demonstrated a close relationship. They stated that they had discussed strengthening cooperation between Dakar and Cotonou in the areas of trade and security. Here is President Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
We have obviously mentioned the friendly and cooperative relations between the Benin people, which are cordial and very friendly, even though we have both noted that today, due to the quality of the friendship, we can do much more and much better in terms of trade.
During the meeting, the two heads of state also discussed the sub-regional situation, particularly within ECOWAS. Again, Diomaye Faye speaks.
We have also talked about the situation in the sub-region, both with the ECOWAS and the AES, but also the security situation in the sub-region, which is very worrying. I took the opportunity to express my solidarity with President Talon and the people of Benin concerning the painful events that occurred in the fight against terrorism. Benin certainly has the support of Senegal in this regard.
Patrice Talon and his Senegalese counterpart stressed the need to reform the West African organization to adapt it to current realities.
A report by Dobedias Aziz Adam Souley in Cotonou and voiced by Sankli Janko. Nigeria's 2025 budget has been revised downwards. General Abdurrahman Chani signed an order on Monday amending the finance law for the 2025 fiscal year. This is the measure taken by Niamey to remain aligned with its international commitment. Abdullah Hassan reports.
According to a press release from the General Secretariat of the Nigerian government, the decrease in the initial budget is estimated at more than 280 billion CFA francs or 9.36%. This brings the general state budget from more than 3,030 billion CFA francs to more than 2,070 billion CFA francs. According to the General Secretariat of the government, several factors led to this revision, including the deterioration of the security situation, the need to address additional expenditures, the formation of a new government last April, and the establishment of the Consultative Council for Reconstruction. Furthermore, the press release from the General Secretariat of the government states that the budget adjustment aims to respect Nigeria's economic commitments to its international partners. The Nigerian government seeks to reassure its partners and preserve a minimum of budgetary room to address urgent priorities, including security, governance, and economic recovery.
Abdullah Hassan with that report. In neighboring Togo, the electoral campaign ended on July 15, 2025, ahead of the municipal elections on Thursday. The campaign got off to a rather slow start, but allowed candidates 2 weeks of engagement with voters at the community level. Following a tight security arrangement, the government assures a calm 2025 municipal elections this Thursday, July 17. Christopher Ticho has the details.
On the ground, political parties and independent groups continue to mobilize despite calls for postponement from some opposition parties. Posters were put up, leaflet distribution was carried out, rallies were held, and door-to-door campaigns were held. To ensure the security of these municipal elections, the security forces for the 2025 municipal elections, FOSEM, was created by a presidential decree on June 26 and began operations on June 30. A total of 59 institutions of the Independent National Electoral Commission, 11 caravans, 68 rallies, and several door-to-door campaigns were secured, according to Colonel Kura Iniwe of the National Gendarmerie, a member of the FOSEM. As a prelude to the general elections, the defense forces responsible for ensuring security on election day voted last Monday. This Wednesday, July 16, is a day of electoral silence, as all stakeholders are required to refrain from any publications or statements related to the campaign. On Thursday, citizens are expected to go to the polls to elect their municipal authorities. The government affirms that it has taken all necessary measures to ensure the smooth running of the election, despite calls for demonstrations by some Togolese activists and bloggers living abroad. Togolese authorities also announced the closure of land borders on July 17 to ensure the safe conduct of the votes. The day has been declared a paid holiday throughout the country.
Sylvia Wadrago's report presented by Christopher Aticho.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's continue with some electoral news. Now, as the Côte d'Ivoire presidential election approaches, the main opposition coalition, Cap Côte d'Ivoire, and the ruling RHDP party will meet on Wednesday, July 16, at the Capable Generations Movement headquarters in Abidjan, Cocody. This meeting marks an initial exchange between two groups amid a highly tense climate. Simeon Gbagbo, spokesperson for CAP-CI, announced via social media that the meeting is part of the coalition's ongoing efforts to promote peaceful, democratic, and inclusive elections. Originally planned for early June, it was postponed at RHDP's request due to organizational issues and their Congress. The upcoming meeting with RHDP is seen as a crucial step towards easing tensions and building a national consensus on the electoral process. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has announced the date for the receipt of candidacies for the October 25 polls. The date set by the IEC is from July 25 to August 25, which is a period of 1 month for candidates to file the application. In the meantime, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara is visiting France, where he is expected to meet with President Emmanuel Macron. Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is embarking on a nationwide continuous voter registration exercise. INEC states that the exercise is a part of preparations for the 2027 general elections. The information was disclosed by Professor Sam Egu, INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, REC for Benue State, North Central Nigeria. Francis Boniface completes the story.
According to Professor Egu, the continuous voter registration exercise is in line with constitutional provisions to capture Nigerians eligible to vote. The CVR exercise will be conducted in all 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, beginning with online pre-registration via the INEC website. The online registration would be followed by in-person registration in all area offices of the Electoral Commission nationwide and other designated centers from August 25, 2025. The senior official of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, states that the exercise would address issues regarding the inclusion of new eligible voters, citizens arriving in the country after several years, or those imprisoned during the last project. Individuals whose cards were stolen, damaged, lost, or required a change in their details, such as name or seeking intra and interstate transfer, or from one polling unit to another, will also be attended to. The Benue State Resident Electoral Commissioner also assured that measures are in place to adequately cater for the needs of internally displaced persons in the state, where recent attacks have claimed several lives and displaced over 1 million farmers.
Francis Boniface reporting there. Still in Nigeria, there is a growing and heated debate about the trend of medical tourism. According to government data, Nigerians spend between $1 to $1.6 billion each year seeking treatment abroad. A trend critics say highlights systemic neglect of the country's healthcare infrastructure. This current public discourse is fueled by the passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari in a London clinic on Sunday following a protracted illness. WDR's Usman Wara in Abuja has reactions in this report.
In clinics and hospitals across India, the United States and the United Kingdom, Nigerians form a growing number of patients on admission for different medical conditions. From serving politicians and top government officials to traditional rulers and business tycoons, the exodus is relentless. Government figures now reveal that Nigeria alone accounts for between $1 to $1.6 billion in annual medical tourism, a quarter of the total $7 billion spent by the entire African continent on foreign medical care. Ola Olufemi is a public health reforms advocate.
Now let's put an example to this. Someone goes in for probably an heart surgery, open heart surgery, pays a minimum of about $40,000. If you're going to do something like an arteriovenous fistula out there, you're paying $50,000 per person. Now imagine the people that troop out of the country daily.
While major public hospitals in Nigeria are poorly underfunded, often plagued with poor equipment and a lack of investment, medical professionals continue to leave for better opportunities abroad, creating a gap that denies average citizens access to quality care and one that privileged Nigerians seek to fill overseas. In the last 20 years, over 18,900 Nigerian doctors have emigrated, according to the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. Many Nigerians believe the funds spent abroad could revolutionize healthcare if channeled internally.
The same medical treatment that will cost you about 30,000 euros will cost you just 1,000 euros if you were to seek the same services in Nigeria.
I look forward to see when ordinary councillor will have a headache and he will run down to maybe my primary health care in my community. That is when I will feel that yes, our health sector in Nigeria are coming up.
Efforts by the Nigerian government to curb the outflow through executive orders and health sector reforms have so far yielded minimal results. Experts and health advocates are calling for political will and strict enforcement of policies requiring public officials to seek care locally, except in emergencies. This is the debate that has been raging in Nigeria since the passing of the former President Muhammadu Buhari in London Clinic on Sunday. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Elsewhere, Liberia is gearing up to host the 2025 Investment Conference, which aims to expand the investment landscape and stimulate private sector-led growth. The conference is organized by Nova Africa in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President of Liberia. The 3-day event begins on Thursday. WDR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The conference will focus on attracting key investments in vital sectors, including agriculture, aviation, natural resources, and infrastructure. William Anderson, CEO of Nova Africa Venture Group, said the conference is a platform for mobilizing both foreign and domestic capital, highlighting the partnerships from Europe and America. According to him, the agricultural sector is anticipated to be a significant beneficiary of this investment drive.
Rice is what we need in Liberia. We grow about 240 million metric tons of rice a year, but we consume 550 million metric tons. So we're looking for serious companies around the world.
Terry Talon, head of the dedication of visiting investment groups, stated upon his arrival that their presence in Liberia is to collaborate with the private sector for potential investment opportunities.
The diaspora, we're coming back again to make a difference. Whether that's technology transfer, from investment to development, infrastructure, we're here to work and we're here to help.
Robert Stewart, president of End-to-End Solution, expressed his company's interest in helping to revamp Liberia's technology sector.
With the expansion of technology today, people use AI in a very loose term, and we actually work very diligently to train and apply opportunities in those spaces.
This investment conference is taking place days after the U.S. 5 African Nation Trade Summit, which included Liberia, to explore opportunities in the extractive sector, a key driver of the nation's economy. Thus, heirs of local investment institutions in the country will come face to face with counterparts from the continent to transition Liberia from an era of aid dependence to self-sufficiency. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Benin Republic and Senegal agreed to deepen cooperation in trade and security sectors. Togo readies for July 17 municipal election as opposition groups, social influencers mobilize another fresh protest. In Nigeria, citizens denounce trend of medical tourism, caution against impact on the health system. And still ahead in the news, Ghana's Interior Ministry sets August 1, 2025 as a deadline for registration of all mining machinery or face classification. We do have the press review and guest interview and sport news. Please
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, we're streaming live on wadr.org, and we urge you to join a live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. In Ghana, the Interior Minister set August 1, 2025 as the deadline for all mining machinery to be registered with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA. Muktaka Mohammed Mubarak warns that unregistered equipment will face classification. At the same time, President John Dramani Mahama has described the surge in illegal mining as a national emergency, pledging intensified action to combat the menace. From Accra, Nadede Tete reports.
The Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak, in a statement on Tuesday, said the directive forms part of comprehensive government reforms to sanitize the mining sector and enforce public order. From August 2, 2025, the Ghana Police Service and the DVLA have been instructed to rigorously enforce the policy. He urged operators to comply before the deadline to avoid facing sanctions, insisting that the registration exercise is critical for accountability in the sector. This latest directive coincides with President Mahama's renewed push against illegal mining, locally known as Galamsey, which he described as a pressing national crisis.
Our forests, rivers, and green belts are national treasures, but we are alarmed by the environmental destruction that is reported across Awaso, Dadieso, and Sefia and Rianso, mainly due to illegal mining. I must be honest, this is a national emergency. The National Task Force will continue its efforts to halt illegal mining in our forest reserves and on our water bodies.
The president also sounded a warning to unauthorized task forces allegedly extorting money from licensed small-scale miners.
I've requested that the authorities arrest and prosecute any individuals involved in this illegal anti-Galamsey activity.
The Interior Minister maintains that the registration deadline is part of a broader effort to bring order and transparency to the mining sector and prevent misuse of machinery in illegal operations. For WADR, Nadede Tete, Accra.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
For today's press review, Sankuli Janko joins us with major headlines and stories of national dailies on the front pages of the Gambian dailies.
Welcome to this edition of the Press Review. Let's begin with the Standard newspaper. The lead story on the Standard newspaper reads, Barrow launches $68.4 million agric project. That's the lead story on the Standard newspaper. Janet Commission Chairman defends interim sale to preserve perishable Jame assets. ILO urged to help strengthen workers' union in Gambia. Group says ID card is once overseas. In election is election rigging. This other one reads, driver, 2 football fans died in car crash. Senegalese commentator arrested. Prime Minister calls for media boycott. Let's head to the Fourier newspaper for today. And the lead story on the Fourier newspaper reads, former Janneh Commission chair defends independence amid scrutiny over government interference. Surahata Janneh was the chairman of the Janneh Commission, which was established to investigate the assets of former President Yahya Jammeh. Please probe alleged crime at Banjul International Airport. Mayor Law faces scrutiny over 1.29 million LED lights deal in breach of procurement laws. Mayor Law is Rohi Malik Law, the mayor of Banjul City. Native officer testifies in trafficking case involving Hana Aisha. This other one reads, rights group calls on President Barrow to enforce Russian oil inquiry recommendations, with the photo of Mahdi Jobate, the renowned human rights activist in the Gambia. Let's take a look at the final newspaper for today. That is the Point newspaper. And the lead story on the Point newspaper reads, Pressure Group warns possible electoral manipulation in overseas ID card scheme. GRA reassures taxpayers amid validity of e-invoicing. Gambia joins France to celebrate National Day. And the last story for today reads, academic brilliance puts Gambian Arabic school on global spotlight. And these are the major stories making headlines on Gambian dailies.
Many thanks, Uncle Janko.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, the guest interviews are focused on the raging debate in Nigeria at the moment, which centers around the funding and investment in the public health sector of African nations to boost health care services. Speaking of the benefits of public health sector investment, particularly to manage emergencies and disease outbreaks, is Dr. Kofi Nyako, medical epidemiologist at the World Health Organization African Region Office. Take a listen.
WHO initially had an intervention called a PEN, Package of Essential NCD Interventions at the primary care level, which improve access to basic NCDs, hypertension, diabetes, and other NCDs at the primary care level. But we realized that as the patients come and when they have severe NCDs, they are not being able to manage at the lower level. They have to be referred to the higher centers in national capitals, and some of them are not able to go. So there was a gap in access for severe NCDs. So the PEN Plus strategy is bridging the access gap. So we are building the capacity of district hospitals called the first referral facilities in terms of human resource, device, equipment, so that patients will have access to what is needed instead of going to their national capitals at the district hospital. So that is what the PEN Plus strategy is about. It bridges the access gap so that those vulnerable at the lower level in our district rural areas will have access to the needed care.
Well, so how does this year's theme build upon the progress made since the first conference that took place in Tanzania in 2024?
Okay, so the first conference brought in civil society organizations, partners, key stakeholders. It was the first conference telling people about what PEN Plus is and what we need to do. And we had pilot countries, 10 countries that were implementing. So it was the initial phase. So this one builds on the momentum of the earlier one. And this conference is actually to look at the technical progress. Where has countries been? Are they doing well? Are they saving lives? Are the people having access to the needed care? So this is technical meeting, which is looking at the technical innovations and other insights and scalable solutions that other countries can also learn lessons and expand their scale. So that is why we are saying advancing the implementation of PEN Plus. So this meeting is actually looking at each country, what they are doing, are there challenges, what can be done to overcome these challenges to ensure that people have access to the needed care that they need for severe NCDs, namely type 1 diabetes, sickle cell disease, rheumatic heart disease, and other severe non-communicable diseases.
Indeed. PEN Plus seems to be for those at the grassroots level who don't have easy access to this healthcare. But how is the PEN Plus now addressing this current gaps in access to care for severe NCDs, especially in remote and rural areas of Africa?
Yes, it's doing very well. We have over 20 countries. WHO is supporting 20. We have other donors who are supporting PEM+. When you talk of Rwanda, for example, all their district hospitals are implementing PEM+. So it means in Rwanda, if you have severe NCD and you go to your district, you can be treated. You don't need to go to the national capital. So Rwanda, Malawi doing very well. Other countries are coming up. And this year's meeting shows great improvement and significant improvement. So what we need to do is that countries should scale up. And this PEM Plus from WHO was a catalytic funding to help countries know that this works. And therefore, we need to expand, get more resources, engage more donors, health partners, so that they can put money into PEM Plus.
Dr. Kofi Nyako is a medical epidemiologist at the World Health Organization, African Region. In sport news, the city of Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwestern Nigeria, has become the heartbeat of African athletics as it welcomes young talent from across the continent from the African Under-18 and Under-20 Athletics Championships. The prestigious 5-day event officially began on Wednesday, July 16, transforming the city into a vibrant hub of energy, excitement, and continental unity. Hundreds of rising stars from various African nations have gathered in Abeokuta, eager to compete, shine, and etch their names in the future of athletics. From sprint to long-distance race, jumping to throws, the championship promised an exhilarating showcase of potential and passion. In football, with less than 3 weeks to go before the 2024 Total Energies African Nations Championship chant kicks up, Kenyan officials have reaffirmed their preparedness to host a safe and top-tier tournament. Internal Security Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Mukwemen, alongside Sports CS Salim Mvuya, led an inspection of the Moi Sports Center, Kasarani and Nyayo National Stadium, key venues in Nairobi. The team also assessed training facilities ahead of the August 2 to 30 event. Mukwemen assured that all necessary security and logistical measures are in place as Kenya prepares to co-host the championship with Uganda and Tanzania. And finally, Chelsea's dramatic FIFA Club World Cup victory over Paris Saint-Germain has been overshadowed by controversy, with reports claiming the trophy presented was a replica. The Blues lifted the silverware at MetLife Stadium on July 13, with Captain Reece James receiving it from US President Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Speculation has since surged on social media and the global media circles, suggesting the original trophy remains in Trump's possession. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Umudanyogo for the technical support. So let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms: X, Instagram at WDL News, and Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. At the bottom of the hour, we will have our flagship gender program 50-50 with Nadi Tete. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for